Welcome to the Catalyst Digital Showcase. The next session will begin shortly. Throughout and beyond the sessions, you can engage with the Catalyst teams. During the presentations, you'll find a window to the right of your screen. At the top of this window, you'll find several options. Send questions using the chat function. Take part in polls by selecting the Polls tab. And click on Files to access additional information on the Catalyst project. Also, be sure to visit the Catalyst's virtual booth after their session. The Vertical Industry Telcos, a federated DLT-based marketplace catalyst, builds on previous phases to create an ecosystem supporting multiple digital and physical assets. It addresses successful 5G network monetization through enabling trust and transparency as foundations of the business assurance framework. Champions BT, Orange, and Rostelecom are joined by participants IOTA, Nexign, Nokia, and Argus. Don't forget to submit your questions for the live Q&A with the team using the chat window on the right. Over to Tayyab from Orange to start off their presentation.
Okay, thank you everybody. My name is Tayyab Ben from Orange. I am Senior Standardization Manager and also the leader of this catalyst. Our catalyst is about verticals and marketplace in DLT. Today we'll share with you our agenda. It's composed of 5 items. We start by short introduction of the catalyst and the purposes. Then we move to purposes and the motivation behind this catalyst. After that, we look at the main actors and assess the business role, duty, responsibility demarcation on the right, assess with all these actors and their roles. And then we move to the high design principle, architecture, and implementation that support the use case that you are operationalizing. And then we conclude by providing some takeaways that emerged from this catalyst. Next slide, please. Our consortium is composed of 2 parts as in a catalyst. We have the champions. In this iteration, we have 3 champions. We have Rostelecom, we have Orange, we have BT. And from participant side, we got 4 companies. We have IOTA, we have Argus, we have Nexign, and Nokia. And the good news for this iteration is that we have 3 new entrants that provide us with fresh ideas and also new perspective. That's very useful for our catalyst. Next slide, please. In terms of introduction, as I mentioned, it's not the first iteration of this catalyst. We are in the 3rd one. And this is actually about creating flexible and on-demand marketplace, so that's within telecom space. And this marketplace is providing a large number of assets from telco space within the RAN, radio access, from edge, or from tower cores, or from connectivity in order to connect cell by backhauling and also the MAC. And within this iteration, we are exploring new business models and also new value propositions within this vertical space. That is very important for us. What is new with respect to the previous iteration in terms of use case? In this iteration, we have to deploy and to deliver 5G PMR. PMR stands for Private Mobile Radio, and also called within 5G terminology, NPN. NPN stands for non-public networks. In our case, we have to deploy in the multi-site Industry 4.0, 2 sites in France, another one in Germany. So that is, in a nutshell, our use case. And what is really new with respect to previous iteration, In this current iteration, we are participating within this new instrument, so-called Mega Catalyst TM Forum, put together, and we are one building block of this Mega Catalyst that is composed of 3 catalysts. Next slide, please. This is highlight view of this Mega Catalyst. It is composed, I mentioned, with 3 catalysts that are working together collaboratively and collectively. We are joined our forces. That is very new in TM Forum. We are trying to tell big story, nice big story, crossing various platforms, various catalysts, and from implementation perspective, it is under layering model. On the top, on the bottom, we have this data layer that is under responsibility of our catalyst. We are to provide information and services at anchor point to other layer, to upper layer, that is settlement layer. This settlement layer is under responsibility of digital business marketplace. And on top of that, we have this assurance layer that is under responsibility of AI-driven business assurance. That is this concatenation of 3 catalysts within this new instrument. And our responsibility is on the bottom layer. We have to deliver this data layer or DLT layer in order to provide foundations in terms of trust and confidence and transparency to the other layers. Now, I will hand over to Alexei to present the motivation behind Catalyst. Alexei, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Type, for introduction. My name is Alexei Vedin. I am from Nexign company. Dynamic sharing is the key principle of our concept. The purpose of our marketplace is enabling dynamic sharing of all needed types of assets from multiple actors using various conditions, including geographical locations, periods of time, and other parameters. Marketplace provides extensive possibility for adaptation to each specific request. What does motivate market players to join marketplace? The biggest one is the opportunity to increase network capacity and coverage using cost-effective online orders without any additional intermediaries. The second is reinforcement and sharing unused resources. Last but not least is reducing cost. We can consume external resources and services on demand, sharing hours with partners. To build full-stack network and to meet 5G promises, we need to have all types of slices to support different services, eMBB, URLCC, and massive IoT. And finally, to build end-to-end network slices, multiple resources are required. Radio frequencies, wireless, wireless access networks, edge computing resources, energy, and different types of infrastructure elements. We choose 5G private mobile radio as use case for prototyping, providing all needed types of assets, including eSIM profiles and service bundles, and infrastructure elements from DLT-based edge marketplace to create full end-to-end monetization scenario. Let's discover simple flow to understand how dynamic sharing works. On the first step, asset provider exposes different types of resources through dynamic offers, with all needed attributes such as geographical locations, connectivity types, and others. Marketplace hosts the catalog with all published resources corresponding to all marketplace members. Resource consumer is looking for specific resources using search engine, which provides information about published offers. In the last step, when we have a deal between the asset provider and the service consumer, a billing system is needed to manage security deposits and charge fees for service consumers. This flow contains all needed interactions and enables end-to-end settlement scheme on the business assurance level. Let's go forward. Anand from Nokia will explain the technical details about architecture and integration design.
Thank you, Alexei. And hi, I'm Anand Adiappan from Nokia. So in here, I'm happy to introduce you to the macro architecture of the marketplace catalyst. So in the vertical industry telcos, we will first start by introducing the stakeholders who interact with the marketplace. Looking at the lower layers, you see an asset provider, and on the top, what you see is a service provider and who are offering services to verticals. The marketplace brings in capabilities that are needed to bring all these stakeholders together and to manage the transactions that happen between these stakeholders. Let's have a look at some of the key capabilities, starting with the onboarding process. So the onboarding helps to onboard asset providers who could be providers of infrastructure, MEC, and it could also be any other infrastructure assets. And similarly, the service providers are the ones who are looking for services. For example, a location-specific 5G PMR for a vertical to establish their industrial automation or any other use cases. So once the asset providers are onboarded and their assets are onboarded, they can create offers, and these offers are all stored again in the federated DLT, which is the store of all transactions that happens in the marketplace. Once the offers are available, service providers can now discover these assets and they can subscribe to these assets. So once their assets are ordered, the proxy service orchestrator from the marketplace interacts with the service provider's orchestration and also the asset provider's orchestrator to make these assets available. So once the service is on, the service provider has an option to also use the end-to-end service design, what you see here, to create new services, like, for example, the 5G PMR we talked about earlier. When the service is on and when the assets are offering its services, Marketplace also provides you the capability with end-to-end SLA, and it also gives you the capability for billing and settlements with across all stakeholders who are involved in the marketplace, analytics, and it also supports the agreements and the rest of the business rules that it might need. All the transactions that happens in the marketplace are also available in the federated DLT, which becomes the central piece of all transactions and references. Regulators, again, they have a view onto all the transactions that are happening in the marketplace for any audits and compliances that they may want to do. Now, moving forward, so here is a view of the capabilities that we as participants managed to get it together. Let's start with the marketplace. So the marketplace capability is brought to you by Nexign, and IOTA provides the federated DLT, and Nokia provides a service orchestration that is in the marketplace and also in the service provider and asset provider context. And an integral part of the overall solution is also the eSIM that's coming from Rostelecom and Argus with its OSs to manage the end-to-end lifecycle of these assets. So now I move forward and I hand over to Sergey.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, my name is Sergey Kislякov. I'm working for Argus company in Russia. Let's explore the practical mechanics for how the marketplace works. As an example, we will look at two kinds of digital service providers. On the pushes side, there are cloud service providers looking to expand their infrastructure to new territories. On the supply side, there is a communication service provider looking for new revenue streams and return of investment from the purchased equipment and developed infrastructure. The offered assets can range from access ports to eSIM profiles or IP addresses ranges. The communication service provider creates an asset and an offer in business support system. Since all information about the state of the network infrastructure and connections is stored in operation support system, the BSS asks OSS for specific object data. So the BSS accumulates the technical information on specific infrastructure and equipment, as well as business-related information of pricing, conditions of use, and availability. This offer is published on the marketplace and is registered on the DLT-based platform. Now, the cloud provider can see the proposed assets on the marketplace and push them to immediately expand the infrastructure following the business demands. Speaking about business, I am handing over to Alexey from Rostelecom company to cover the way the system can be useful for an MVNO.
Thank you, Sergey. My name is Alexey Chernetsov. I work in Rostelecom company. I'm MVNO director. This use case shows us how new technologies, DLT and eSIM, creates new value for each participant of our project. I'll speak mainly on behalf of service provider, but I'll also touch on other important roles. Using DLT-based marketplace and eSIM, providers by internal big data services will be able to create price offers limited in time, geo-regions, and in volume for the most traveling subscribers. These offers can be activated on smartphone by QR code. Also, service providers, which still cannot service inbound roamers, will be able to serve visitors with their eSIM profile. At the same time, service providers can exchange subscribers with each other, and as a result, subscribers will not spend additional and sometimes very expensive value for roaming services. According to our estimates, this opportunity will increase forecast for the consumptions of services, and those subscribers who didn't use roaming when traveling bring you additional income for service provider. From the point of view of a regulatory framework, in this model, all global legislative norms are observed, and local law or normative documents of the region where the subscription can be activated can also be applied. The vendor of billing or ordering systems can easily bridge from the existing service delivery model to the marketplace model, save current revenue, and earn new revenue stream for its customers. For subscribers, benefit is obvious: stay in touch all over the world with the most favorable rates when traveling. I hand over next slide to Type for summary of our presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Alexey. Now we arrive to the conclusion of our presentation. The main outcome that emerged from our catalyst is to participate, to contribute to the specification of generic DLT. And what we are providing here, we have two templates. At left-hand side, we have this transaction template with asset attribute. We have certified source, certified destination, and the payload. And at right-hand side, we have this blueprint, design blueprint, that's composed of three parts. The first one is the blueprint template, where we can see is metadata, non-function metadata, but also we may have function metadata. And we have also some APIs and operation that allow us to play with some information and the data. One of them is the data layer. And at the end of the side, we have this onboarding of our partners. That is, in a nutshell, the three parts of this design blueprint. That is specification that we can prescribe from generic part for DLT, and then we can instantiate this design blueprint in production, and then we can document all attributes, all parameters of operations. Next slide, please. As conclusion and takeaway and best practices, we have identified 4 key messages I would like to share with you. The first one is within value proposition space. The second one is on standardization, because we identified that there is gap within standardization that need to be bridged. And we have another message with respect to our contribution to TM-Forum frameworks. And we have also this outcome that we can provide with respect to the mega catalyst adjustment and arrangement. So from value proposition part, as I mentioned, we explored new business model and new value proposition within this 5G space, within Industry 4.0 as vertical. It allows us to assess the monetization of 5G and how we can share the value within all the partners, mainly within this anchor point between the mega catalyst partners. From a standardization perspective, our implementation, our goal is to look at interoperability, interworking, and interaction between various marketplaces, DLTs marketplaces. So that's very important. And the result of that is maybe we can push some contribution towards standardization, because what the industry is seeking is to bridge this gap with the standardization within this DLT space. Our contribution to TM Forum asset and framework, we are providing open APIs, new open APIs to open APIs framework. Second, we are providing a new asset to seed, extending seed with this vertical industry assets. And we, from mega catalyst space, as I mentioned, we are positioning as foundation to this mega catalyst arrangement. And this is very important for us that we are delivering this DLT layer that is seen as trust and certification body to all these other catalysts within the catalyst. For further information, please do not hesitate to contact us at this link. We'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. Thank you so much for attending.
It's now time for Q&A with the team. Join us in the breakout room, which you'll find by navigating back to the lobby. The team looks forward to answering your questions live and engaging in discussion. Before you go, though, remember to fill in any polls in the window to the right of your screen. Please also fill in our surveys. You can find these in the virtual lobby. Still have questions for the team? Visit their in-app booth or find their email on the My Agenda page.